Greetings, traveler. Being the best at something, namely game design, sound design, art, or having the best horror game, action game, and so on, discussing it in these very broad, very generic terms, I think is completely stupid and meaningless. And today I'm going to give you 3 reasons why I think so. My name is Xanthos. I've been working in the games industry for over 10 years, and often we discuss which game is the best, let's say, horror game, or who is the best game designer in the world. Somehow these conversations come up a lot, and it's a very hotly discussed point of contention. It's important sometimes because when companies are choosing to hire someone for a given role based on their previous experience, they will often say, well, we have to hire that person, he's the best at whatever. So he's the best at that sentence is so hugely problematic. I mentioned three reasons that I'm going to mention why this is the case, and here's the first one. First of all, it is completely subjective. It is up to everyone in the world to decide who is the best at something. And you think, wait a minute, well, what about when there's a competition, or when you look at it from the point of sales? Which game did the most sales in something? Well, let's take sports as an example, which is a very crisply ranked, very clearly displayed kind of who is the best at something. So let's say somebody finishes first in a given sport. Well, even if that person did finish first, it's hard to convince everyone in the world that that person is the best at that sport, because immediately people will say, well, the actual best person in the world couldn't compete in that tournament because he was ill or something. Or, yes, of course, that person is the best in the world because he's using so many drugs or whatever. If he was natural, somebody else would be the best. So it is actually impossible to come on a consensus about who is the best at any given thing, even when you have very, very clear ways of measuring it. The second reason why it's pointless to discuss it is because it's ephemeral. Let's say that somehow everybody in the world had a way to agree on who is the best at something, and magically we could measure it so. Well, even if we could, then immediately after determining who is the best whatever, that would change. That person would only be the best for a week or a month or a year. Immediately somebody else would become the best, and all this hotly discussed topic about why the previous person was the best immediately becomes obsolete. So keeping in mind the time aspect of this is also really important to understand why it's meaningless. And the last reason why it doesn't help to discuss who is the best or what is the best at something is because it's not relevant to me or to you or to anyone specifically in that case. Let's say that someone says, the best game designer is that person over there. So what? Does that affect you? Are you capable of hiring that person? Will you work together? Even if you did work together, is the fact that they're the best at something going to automatically guarantee any sort of success or any specific result for that matter? How many times have we seen in the industry a dream team of people put together, and surely them together could not fail, right? Or could at least be guaranteed to make a very high quality game. And how many times has this not turned out to be the case? So these are the top 3 reasons why I think discussing about what's the best is completely pointless. And on the flip side, what I think is a way more interesting conversation is something that's relevant to you, something that's, or to me up to now, something that I'm going to use, and a specific use case that I have in mind. And rather than thinking who's the best in this, I think of examining specific elements or specific attributes of that person or that tool. If we're talking about the best, I don't know, game engine or whatever, saying what's the best game engine is completely meaningless. It's all about fit for your purposes. So examining things in this more focused, more use case based approach, I think holds great value to everyone individually. It certainly has for me up to now. So that's my experience up to now. I hope it helps you navigate this world where our society is always obsessed about who's the best and what's the best, and clearly neglecting to mention why they think so or how is that relevant to them, and instead guide our conversations more specifically with something that affects us and something that we can use specifically in the future. That's it for today. If you know someone who receives a lot of pressure at work or is often involved in these discussions of who's the best and why that's the best and so on, perhaps share this video with them and help them navigate this treacherous terrain. And until next time, have fun.